I talked to Coach Wooden, and he wanted everybody that played for him to graduate. You know, that was one of the early things that he talks to you about. He didn't talk about who we were going to play or anything like that. He said that academic goals are part and parcel of what he wanted the UCLA experience to be about. And you know, I was in tune with that when I came here. You know, I bought that program. You know.
Done with the animals, are you going to put them in your pocket and take them back to camp? No. Are you going to eat them? No. Are you going to beat them over the head with the net? No. What are you going to do? They go back in the water.
Well, Kareem's always put a lot of emphasis on, you know, this is what you do for a living, but this is not who you are.
The gift that we've all possessed is just that we have a talent, and we've utilized the physical talent to do extraordinary things and play in the NBA. But really, it comes down to what you're going to do after you get done. You know, it's not so much of what you're doing while you're playing and what you're doing in the trenches and sort of what's going on during that process. But what are you setting up to be your legacy, you know, in the future?
Camp Skyhook provides the opportunity for students to learn about the environment that they are in, rather than learning about it in a book. When something becomes emotional, when you connect to a subject or content or an experience in an emotional manner, it becomes part of who you are, and you become more hungry for it. You seek it out. This is how we provide that transformational experience that will hopefully make students lifelong learners.
When you're at that age, you know, 12, 13, going into puberty, you want to be just like everybody else. And it takes a while before young people understand that everybody's unique. No one is exactly like anybody else. And all the odd and weird things that you think you might be going through, everybody has their own session with odd and weird things, and it lasts for a little while, and you get used to it, and you move on. My experience, quite obviously, was my height. You know, I had a growth spurt. I was in the 8th grade. I was 6'7", 6'8". This is not a usual experience for people, you know. But certain things started to go right for me. And then sports became something I became very proficient at. I made high school All-America when I was a sophomore. And that that gives you confidence that you can do something. I knew I was going to college. I also did well academically. So, you know, as things fall into place, you feel more assured of what you can achieve, and you feel better about yourself. They found that getting kids before 6th grade is essential, because after 6th grade, 97% of girls and 92% of boys do not have any interest in things having to deal with science. So if you get to them early and give them an idea that, hey, these subjects lead to jobs, all of a sudden, you know, you've impacted that dynamic, and kids are looking at it in a different way.
My students come from, high poverty area. A lot of kids, first time that they're really experiencing any kind of nature. I mean, they are in their area, they stay in their area, they have not a lot of experience. We go to write sometimes and they don't have experiences to write about. So this is like the first time they've seen so many things.
I got a birdie! Look, I got a birdie!
What kind of bird do you have though?
A pigeon!
A dove, right?
When you have people who have traditionally been disadvantaged, you want to see that change. And for me, it was very important, again, what we spoke about earlier about education. Education is the key to success. So, successful people don't have to be disadvantaged. It changes the whole scenario. So education is the key for people like that.
Kareem is probably one of the most intelligent, persons I've ever met. Even, when I see some of his articles today about some of the things that we're experiencing in this country, he's still on point and extremely conscious about who he is and his surroundings in the country. He's very conscious about race. And so that's where I admired about him, because sometimes you get stereotyped as an athlete, and he definitely was one that wanted to deviate from that.
Well, when I was at UCLA, the Vietnam War was going on. So it was tense times politically. And also the Civil Rights Movement was coming to an head. And I remember when Dr. King was assassinated, and we did a demonstration on campus. We just lined Brew and Walk, and people were castigating me because they said, well, you're going to go play in the NBA. What are you complaining about? Like there was a direct relationship, and there wasn't. But it took a while before our country as a whole figured all of that out.
I'm not going to call it bitterness. He was just involved in a movement in the 60s and the 70s that required you to be extremely conscious and somewhat confrontational. And I love that about him too. All those guys that were coming through that era, Bill Russell, Jim Brown, guys like that who were activists. And Kareem was definitely somewhat of an activist. He used his platform to enroll other people.
Well, as far as I can see, and it's just from what I've learned over the years, back in the late 30s, UCLA decided that they were going to be diverse, and they didn't care what people thought about it. And that's just something that developed here. Who knows exactly why, but it developed here, and it maintained its ability to attract more people who thought like that. So, I got a letter from Jackie Robinson telling me that I'd get a good education here, and I'd probably enjoy going to school here. And I believed him, and he was right.
There's not that many Kareems out there, but there's some great players out there that will never see a college campus, and he knows that for whatever reasons, whether it's economics, whether it's education. So he's very interested in not only showing another side of him, but really who he would have been had he not played basketball. He would have been an activist, he would have been a social worker, he would have been a lawyer perhaps. So his thing is about educating people, and I think if he had a message to tell kids that make sports secondary or even third, have something to fall back on.
We just want to try and build the right men and women instead of trying to repair them. The bright lights are over, they're gone. The championship rings are memories, and we can look at them and you're like, okay, that's cool. But what we're doing now for this next generation, that's what lasts forever.
Well, just seeing young people get an idea of what to do with their lives, it makes me feel good. It's a feel-good situation. You see lights go on, you see kids, all of a sudden they're excited about something, and they have an idea of what they want to do with themselves. That's wonderful, because that's kids turning into really important people in their communities because they get things done.